Today I want to address questions you asked me and just answer them for all of you because I think the answers can be interesting and maybe also helpful for many more than just the person who asked the question. I do want to focus more so on mental decluttering and minimalism together with not only like the physical items, but more so, the mindset and the side that's like in us and not around us. But I will also answer like a lot of other questions as well. Also, for many of these questions, I've already made videos that cover maybe part of the answer. So I will link these down below as well as in the cards as long as there's space. I can only have 5 cards in a video. So let's start with the first one. And that is, does minimalism make me a happier person? I think the answer is more complicated than yes or no, but let's be honest, if I would think that minimalism makes my life worse, I wouldn't be a minimalist. So I do think that minimalism helps me live a happier life, a better life, makes me a happier person, but I don't think that like owning less things will make you more happy. It is a lot more about owning the things that are useful to you, letting go of the things that are not useful to you, getting to know yourself better, to know what the things are that are important to you now, no matter if they are physical items or how you spend your time, how you spend your money, what to focus on. So I would say that I think that minimalism can add value to many people's life and help them live a more happy life, or at least a more content life, and a more meaningful life. But not really the part of where you like declutter your items, but more so the part of getting to know what's important to you and prioritizing things, physical things and actions and causes that are meaningful to you, that add value to your life. And now there are 2 questions that are really similar that I want to combine, at least when it comes to the answer. And one of them is, how do I handle like relapses? Suddenly wanting to shop for a lot of things, having more stuff again. And also, how do I continue decluttering when I'm overwhelmed because it's just too much? So both of them have in common that the minimalism journey is harder than we thought, or it's like really, really hard. And it's exhausting to actually move to a life with less stuff, to have less for good. But I think what's really important here is, one, to keep your goal in mind. Like, no matter how long it takes you, you want to live with less things. You want to declutter the things that are not good for you, that don't add value to your life, that overwhelm you. Because I think while decluttering can be overwhelming, I think you are decluttering because the stuff is overwhelming. But the other thing, and that's I think even maybe more important, is that minimalism itself, decluttering and owning less things, is not the goal, and it won't make you happy just to like reach a certain number. Like, maybe some people feel that way, and it's definitely like a great feeling to know that all of the burden when it comes to physical stuff is gone. But I think when you're overwhelmed with decluttering, just take a break. When you have already bought more things than you wanted and like relapsed, you shouldn't like beat yourself up, because that does not make you more happy. That does not like that's not the goal of minimalism, like beating yourself up because you bought something. But what you can do if you haven't bought something, or if you're like overwhelmed and if you want to like stop minimalism because you're too overwhelmed with all of your stuff, I think that's all a symptom. Like the impulse buying, the relapse buying, the being super overwhelmed with decluttering and wanting to just abort minimalism in general. I think these are just symptoms, and it's okay to be overwhelmed. And then I think it's a good idea to also take yourself out of the situation. Try, of course, to not buy the things, but maybe not buy like, I'm a minimalist, I don't want to buy things, I'm a minimalist, that will like make my life harder, but to just like focus on something else entirely. Instead of like trying to shift your focus from I want to have more things to I want to have less things. This is still all about stuff. Try to shift your focus to something else, like to relationships. Take a nap. Spend time in nature. do another hobby that you know you like doing. And so I think whenever you're overwhelmed with minimalism, take a step back, try to remove yourself from the situation, try to put systems in place that keep you from buying things. And again, I'm going to link videos down below that might help with that. But I'm talking way too long about these things again, and I need to move on to the next question. And here I want to combine a few as well again, and these are: do you struggle with anxiety or depression? If so, how do you cope with it? Also, please, more mental decluttering tips, and what are your best tips for mental decluttering? And also, how do you cope with the current situation of the world? Now, first off, I want to say I don't have a diagnosis, and I also don't think that I struggle with depression or severe anxiety or things like that. So I think I'm in a okay place when it comes to mental health, but of course there are things that I worry about. Of course I'm not like 100% perfectly happy all the time. And I did make a few videos about mental decluttering actually, and I'm gonna put them in a playlist and link them up here for you as well as down below. But maybe to like very shortly answer your questions, I think there are two ways of like mental decluttering and caring for your mental health, or actually they're like, you know, it's not two separate things. But one of them is getting to know yourself better, learning about yourself, having a better relationship with yourself. And I think minimalism, like physical decluttering, is one of that. And also like getting to know your relationship with stuff and people and knowing what's important to you will help you navigate life better and take care of your mental health. But then the other thing is seek professional help or talk to people, no matter if that's like a close friend or, you know, anonymously, or your diary even. That's maybe not a person, but, you know, talk it out, share it, process it. And here I do have to say that therapy is great just because there you actually have a professional setting and you know that you're both working towards one goal of like making you understand yourself better, making you feel better, and getting like to know the issues and thoughts and goals that you have. And with other people or your diary, you're maybe more so prone to sometimes do things and learn thought patterns and things that are maybe not as helpful as you think. And so while I said that I think that my mental health is in a pretty good place, I still also think that everybody can profit from therapy. And here I also want to talk about the sponsor of this video, which is BetterHelp. Thank you so much, BetterHelp, for sponsoring this video. And if you're not familiar with BetterHelp, it is an online service that provides like personalized online therapy from over 20,000 licensed therapists. The good thing about BetterHelp is really that you can sign up very easily and quickly on your phone or on your computer, just a few minutes, answer some questions, and you will get a therapist that actually like is really good for what you're looking for. So you can also, for example, say that you prefer a female or LGBTQ plus therapist, or that it's important to you that your therapist is religious or knows a lot about family trauma. And you actually get a therapist in less than 48 hours. And for me, it just took like 4 hours. And also the actual therapy part is super easy. So my therapist, Gary, is a really, really nice woman. And we had some sessions, and I prefer to have like video chats so I can actually see her and she can see me. But you can also have like a phone therapy session or even text therapy session, because I do know it can still be intimidating. And so maybe you choose the way that's best for you. And there's no like waiting period. You can have like sessions whenever you want, and you can also change your therapist if you are not happy with the one you have without additional charge, and just whenever you like feel that it's not right. And the few sessions I had were really, really helpful already, because right now we're traveling and so we don't always have internet, and I didn't schedule any sessions, even though it would absolutely have been possible. But I just like somehow didn't do it, which is also not a problem at all. But I'm still thinking and processing a lot of the things we talked about in the session we had before I went traveling. And there are a lot of things that I'm still thinking about that help me better understand myself, because if I would just like write in my diary, there are just inputs from the outside that I would not have. And so I do think that therapy has been really, really helpful already, and I'm looking forward to my next session. And because this video is sponsored by BetterHelp, I do have a link for you that will give you 10% off your first month. BetterHelp, spelled better, HELP.com/ecofriend, and the link is also down below in the description, so I highly recommend you check it out and see if this is maybe beneficial to you as well, because I think mental decluttering, you can of course do it alone, but it can maybe give you a really good push to have some professional help with it as well. And then the next question is, where do you like give your decluttered things to? Because that person asking is very emotional with her stuff. And I also think that's like two things. Like, one, if you decide to declutter something, I think at some point you also have to let go of your attachment to that thing. I actually recently made a video about that I'm gonna link you up here and down below as well, so you can check it out, because I think that's like a really interesting topic, because we have like these two relationships. We have this like use relationship with things when we actually use them on a daily, monthly, yearly basis, and then we have the emotional attachment that sometimes does absolutely not like have the same amount as we are using it. And so I do think if you're decluttering, like putting it in a box will not release that emotional attachment, but it's the action of decluttering it. And so I think if it's hard for you to let go of an item, it makes sense to, for one, think about why it is hard for you. Try to understand your relationship with that thing. Try to understand the underlying emotions. Again, maybe therapy can help there, or a diary, or talking to other people. And the other thing is that you can, of course, like either keep it or make sure that if you really know that it would be better for you to declutter that thing, you can try to make sure that it goes to a place where it's like loved again and where it's used with care. But that is, I do want to say, very, very tricky, because I do think like decluttering in general and making sure your things end up in a good place is tricky already. So there, I think I recently learned about like the buy nothing challenge, and like I read the book about it, and there is this community worldwide of people that give away their stuff for free and ask for stuff for free in local communities. And I think that's a good way to maybe make sure that somebody actually appreciates your item, because you can give it to another person instead of dropping it off at a secondhand store or tossing it into the garbage or something like that. But I do want to say that I think the emotional attachment is something that we have to work on with like the mental decluttering, also to just understand it and maybe kind of ease the pain we feel when letting go of items, because again, that can be just a symptom maybe, and it's not actually you parting from that item, but more so something else that's going on emotionally. And then the next one is, what do you do when you are bored? So I actually also made videos about that topic that I'm going to link you down below. I think it's too many to just put them up here in the cards. And one thing is, I think boredom is actually a good thing, because it gives you that space. It creates kind of like that emptiness that allows creativity to come sometimes, because when we're always like focused on something or consuming something, we kind of lose the space to just let thoughts flow and have good ideas as well. I think that's why we have good ideas when we shower, because we cannot really occupy ourselves with something else and then thoughts start flowing. But of course, I understand that boredom can become painful depending on your like mental health, or just because it's too much of it. And then I think things you can do is having like a list of go-to activities and things you can do whenever you feel bored. So if you like really have nothing to do, I think one good thing is always like take a walk outside, because it's good for your like physical health. I think it's good for your mental health, and I think it's like something to do, and I at least always feel better afterwards, and I've never felt worse after like going outside for a walk. And the other thing to do is if really like boredom and doing nothing is painful because you have like bad thoughts or something like that, I think you can just maybe podcasts or audiobooks or things like that you know will make you feel good, that you can consume like intentionally to avoid like spiraling thoughts in a bad direction. You can sleep, you can write in a diary, read, exercise. It really depends on you, and I think a list of things you like doing is maybe a good idea to go back to when you're bored. And when you're bored while doing your work or doing something you have to do, and so you're occupied but you're still bored doing it, try to avoid that activity. And if it's work, really think about how to make it like more fun or better. But in the end, I think we cannot completely avoid doing things we're bored doing. So now let's try to just answer pretty quickly some more questions you had, but like short answers. One person asks, do you have pajamas or like t-shirts you sleep in? And my answer is no, I do sleep in my undies, and other than that, I'm naked. So I don't have any extra clothes for sleeping. And then the next question, do you get overwhelmed by looking at other people's clutter? Yes, maybe if it's visually distracting, and if it's in my home, if it's my boyfriend and my sons, then of course I can get bothered. But other than that, I think it's their thing. I think I have to deal with my overwhelm of looking at other people's clutter, and I can just choose how I want to create my environment. So I'm not really getting bothered, and if I am, I just have to ask myself what I can do about it, because I'm not to like tell other people what to do with their clutter. What are your thoughts about having everything in a backpack? The person says not really like kitchen utensils, but maybe clothes and personal items, sentimental items. I completely understand that thought, and I think it's a good idea. I had the same thing with my 2 drawers of one dresser, to just have everything in one place. If it should be a backpack, really depends on how like easy it is to use that, depending on your living situation. I think maybe a backpack is a good storage thing. Maybe something else is better, but I completely understand of like that feeling of wanting to have everything in a place, and maybe even everything so you can just take it and go. And I think give it a try. At least if you don't have to buy a bunch of things, I think just try it out, see if it's for you. But maybe it's also not practical in the long run. What is my relationship with food? Do I fast? Have I like decluttered food from my life? And the answer is no, I have never like fasted. I love eating. I love cooking sometimes. And I think since I'm never like gonna completely stop eating, food is gonna stay in my life. And so I haven't made an effort to like declutter my relationship with food per se. But if you're interested in fasting, maybe look it up, try it out. Just make sure you're staying safe and healthy with your body, and like pay attention to that. Are my son and my boyfriend minimalists? The short answer is no. They both have kind of a minimalist wardrobe, and I think my boyfriend definitely thinks about what he wants to own and what not, like what adds value and what not. My son loves collecting things, and I would always help them declutter if they ask me to. But other than that, we are all our own people, and we can decide how much stuff we want to own and how to our relationship with stuff should be. Will I ever write a book on minimalism? I would love to, and I've started writing books on minimalism. I've never had a concept that's good enough, so I would write the whole book. But I'm more so thinking now that my book will more be on the mental and maybe holistic approach, and less so on tips to declutter your physical items. But let me know what you would be interested in, what kind of book you want to read from me, and I might just start writing again and see where it leads. Who are your favorite minimalist heroes, role models, things like that? I do have to answer that with I don't really have any. And to be honest, I'm more so inspired by other people and not minimalist creators, especially not for the stuff they own, because I think the stuff we own is all individual to us. And so I see a video here and there about minimalism that inspires me, but I don't have any concrete role models or heroes. But I do, of course, love the minimalist community, and I think these are wonderful people that create content on minimalism on YouTube. So I value them a lot on eye level. Do you say it like that in English as well? but I don't really have huge role models. I'm inspired by random stuff, and mostly it's not people actually. Am I happy with my short hair? Yes, and I actually plan to like grow it out to a bob length, and now I'm thinking about keeping it short. We'll see. Sometimes I want to like really tie it together because I love the feeling, but in general I'm happy with short hair because I know when it's longer I'm just gonna like tie it back, and then what's the point of having long hair, right? Would I ever travel full time, or do I need a place to call home? Well, in the past I always wanted to travel full time and for like several years at least, and now I think maybe it's better for me, it's a better balance to like have a place to call home, but I don't want to rent it expensively like now, and then to travel like half of the year so that I have a base, that I can come home, that I have a certain balance, but I still have time, a lot of time spent traveling. Also, slow traveling preferred, without a plane, but with trains and things like that. But we'll see. I want to travel more than I have in the past few years, but we'll see what the future holds. We'll see what's possible. And my son is in school, so it's very limited for the next 2 years. And that's it for the video. That's all the questions I'm gonna answer today. If I missed yours, or if you have more questions, leave them down below and I will take a look and maybe film another Q&A or answer them in the comments. Don't forget to check out today's sponsor, BetterHelp. It's down below in the description. And now I do want to link you a video related to mental decluttering right here, and I hope you check it out. I hope you see you there, and otherwise in my next video. Bye!